little tricky, although QXC is still max and he's got 40 workers, so you can just say that you can have all those specialist units
because he has
and
a small
still be okay.
Yeah, because he's just got this big stumpy army. It's 160 supply army to 135. Yeah, that's totally true. Little drop comes in, nicely done, and QXC trying to pull his opponent apart again. This drop with the Hellbat is proving to be an absolute pain, and RSVP doesn't really seem to know how to handle this. He is all over the place right now. Production is being taken out. That fourth base dies once again. QXC looking much, much stronger now, and if he's able to bring that big army to bear and actually kill RSVPs, now with that fourth base down, it is going to be hard for RSVP to remax. He does have a bank, so he can warp in pretty quickly, but it's the big costly units like the Colossus. If he ends up losing those, still though, it's 9 Colossus, 9 with +1 shields as well. That's even with 13 Vikings. That's going to take a while to kill.
I agree. I think RSVP, if he picks a really good fight, he just crushes the army. It's going to be tough because QXC has a very considerable army size. It's 160 supply to 140, if you estimate it. That's insane, but still, AoE really dictates this matchup. And what's kind of sickening about this Totalbiscuit is as they take minutes to prepare the perfect engagement, it can end in 10 seconds.
It can. It very much can. These are two gigantic, scary armies, both max upgrades, even +2 weapons added in to the Vikings themselves, which is going to be a big deal. Will those Colossus last long enough? Will they be able to inflict enough damage? Can QXC take a concave? Can he get a good arc of fire that will avoid most of that damage? If he gets caught bunched up, he is in serious trouble.
Well, RSVP, he's survived most of the aggression from QXC, and he's now trying to seek a new base. In fact, RSVP is long distance mining. He's even trying to expand to the northern part. We might see an engagement coming up soon. QXC has to be a little bit cautious not to overstep his bounds, at the same time scanning very often to make sure no observers can see where his ghosts are going.
Zealot run by goes through the third base again, looking to do yet more damage. It will be able to. There's some defense, but not enough certainly to stop that. But this is the big army. This is the big fight. RSVP, at least with his Zealots at the front there, but taking several losses already. He was not prepared to take that engagement. That is unfortunate. EMP goes down. A second EMP actually hits the storming target, which is absolutely fantastic there. The Zealots, the run-by is actually kind of finished now, but QXC swings by to what looks like the 5th base here of RSVP. That's going to die pretty much immediately.
Oh, he's going to try to pick off Colossus with this little shroud of Fog of War.
It takes
this is
2.
A very clever move.
Very nice. Very nice. That's now 7 Colossi instead of 9. Huge deal. Didn't really lose many Vikings either. Building more Vikings as well. RSVP being pulled out of position here. QXC playing a very tactical, smart game. Gotta be careful, though. He is running into a huge amount of Colossus. Where are the Vikings? The Vikings are not here. Oh, the Vikings all get stormed. The Vikings get stormed in the back. The Stalkers take them out, and suddenly 13 Vikings becomes 0 as QXC gets his forces caught out of position. RSVP seizing the opportunity moves forward.
Has to be careful, though. He's bunched up. The EMPs hit all the high Templars. Storm, and the Concave favors QXC dramatically. He still has a lot of Marauders, although the Colossus Micro is going to push back all of the units. QXC realizes that this is a time where you can strike down the Protoss army before he can remax.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. It's all dead. 92 supply to 140. QXC, after a blunder, losing all of his Vikings, is able to take a great engagement as RSVP gets too impetuous and gets caught out in an awful position. QXC suddenly turning the game around again.
Yeah, that was unreal. I just really thought, man, I've seen that situation so many times where you feel like you have a decisive advantage. You have Colossus, he has no Vikings, but he pushed up too aggressively. Colossus don't even have to attack from the bottom of the ramp. They can go from the left side of that base. It's just a momentary, I guess, excited adrenaline rush that disallows RSVP to make rational decisions and that cost him potentially the game-winning push. Now, RSVP still has a huge bank and he still remade a lot of units, but no one can argue that QXC is not far ahead right now.
No, you definitely can't. RSVP took huge hits, like losing that Colossus army. He's building... I've never seen triple Colossi production. Like, this is how crazy this game has got. He's building 3 Colossi at a time, and the Viking count is back to 11. And I doubt QXC is going to make that same mistake twice and allow all of his Vikings to be stormed and killed. That was miscontrol there. But this is an epic whirlwind game for the ages. It continues to go on. Another Zealot run-by comes in, followed up by a couple of EMPs, so the bunker's going to kill those very, very quickly indeed. Those +2 shield upgrades, of course, not proving to be very useful as a result of those EMPs, but QXC continues to hold on here. He's got 42 SCVs versus 59 probes. There are DTs being deployed as well. And this is the time when it becomes very difficult to keep track of all of your bases and actually defend everything adequately against run-bys and drops.
I still don't like the idea of just keep sending Zealots to that one base. And even then, if you pick off workers, so what? QXC's army is going to get a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And he still has a significant orbital count. RSVP loses as a Colossus in the middle of the map. You can't just be tossing away those units. RSVP also forced to storm 2 Marauders and a Ghost. That's a great trait considering QXC even killed a High Templar. This is what QXC has been excelling in, his late game arm control compared to RSVP, other than that momentary lapse of his Vikings.
Yeah, and this is not looking good here. Nice snipe again. Another one goes down. The DT is scanned out and eliminated. QXC with a very strong army right here pushing forward. More Zealots are being warped in, but there are 7 Hellbats in this composition. Those Zealots will not last that long against that kind of firepower. More snipes go off. Another Templar killed. Looking for the feedback. Quick feedbacks come in, but snipe versus feedback, this is messy. There goes an attack, but it's on the planetary. It actually might kill it. No, I don't think so. It was pretty close to. Maybe if it was a couple more units, it would have. But RSVP is just kind of throwing units at brick wall now, and QXC is about to be maxed, and this is not looking good for the Protoss. Not at all.
Well, QXC, he's going to pick, I think, the game-winning position here. If he's going to force RSVP to defend this base, while being able to push the top center, that's kind of why I was questioning whether or not he should try to take the top center. RSVP is going to be not minding whatsoever, and if he can force Protoss to take a bad fight, and one more bad fight is all it takes. EMP is on 3-4 of the Templars. I think that's it. QXC can just push in. There's no more room for RSVP to back up as long as QXC can just deal with the Colossus count. There's no AoE left.
And the Colossus are going down pretty damn rapidly right here. Here comes the Stim, catches the Stalkers at the back of the army there. Very, very dangerous position for RSVP to be in. He is plummeting in supply right now. He just lost his 5th base there up to the top position. QXC is maxed again. EMPs blanket the army. The final engagement comes in. It's looking very unlikely that RSVP will hold that. QXC charges forward, brings his ghosts back out of the way. There's the GG, and QXC sweeps the map, eventually 2-0.
Very cautious, meticulous, absolutely great control from QXC, and I can understand even where he was trying to go with the Viking snipe. It was to pick off Colossus, maybe trying to maneuver around the army, but RSVP set up a perfect trap as well, so I gotta applaud RSVP for that. But still, no matter what happened, QXC felt like he had control over the game. There was never a moment where I really felt like, I think he's in trouble, other than the run-by is doing massive SCV damage, but it worked out in his favor because 25, 30 minutes in the game, you don't want to have that many SCVs.
No, you generally do not, and that was some great play from both sides. I mean, I think RSVP demonstrated they can definitely throw punches with the best of them there, but QXC eventually, over the course of a long game, taking better fights, getting better engagements, and being in more places at once. RSVP not really able to keep up with it, and that puts QXC through into a TBT versus Xenocide for our final game. RSVP is unfortunately eliminated 4 games to 0 there. That's unfortunate. It happens. You run into some tough opponents that day. Yeah, you can go 0-4 in your group. But thank you very much to RSVP for competing today and showing us some good games. And the final match will be a TBT between QXC and Xenocide to decide who will get the wonderful prize of facing Kane in the round of 8.
That's right. No one really wants to do that. Of course,
No.
If you're joining us today and you're kind of wondering what happened earlier, State advanced to his group and will be facing off against Hello Kitty in the round of 8, which will be played tomorrow. Is that correct, Totalbiscuit?
You are absolutely right, yeah. We're compressing this tournament because we simply do not have the time. Some people have asked, well, why did you go up against WCSEU? That was not our choice. We unfortunately had to move the tournament around. We were not supposed to have play on a Friday, but as a direct result of clashes and issues with WCS, we have had to jig things around a bit. So we were going to have to take a day of pummeling. That's how it went. We understand that. And of course, Saturday and Sunday's play will hopefully be going uncontested, and that should be really, really fun to watch. The round of 8 is going to be amazing. It's going to be 4 really good best of 5s between 4 amazing players. But, as you said, State advanced convincingly. Xenocide did pretty well. Take out RSVP and then falling to State, who played a phenomenal series of games. And now he has to face up against QXC in a TBT. And TBT is in such a weird place right now in Heart of the Swarm, it's so hard to know who's going to take that.
Every Terran player I talk to is such a love-hate relationship with TVT. Some Terrans love it, some Terrans hate it, and then the next week you ask them, the positions are completely flipped.
Yeah.
And it often has to do with the build orders and even the maps itself. A lot of Terran players feel mech is really good, and then the next day, mech is terrible, and the next day it's like, oh, Biotank is back, and everyone's like, no, just Bio is back. It really comes down to a clash of styles, what you're comfortable with. In my opinion, TVT, anything can go. And I want to see how Xenocider kind of bounces back to show everybody his TVT, because when he played against Major and WCS Challenger, Major kind of made him look like a chump, but that's not really reflective of Xenocider's skill.
No, I don't think so. We'll be going into the final game of SHOUTcraft America Group D. Who will go through to face Kane? Will it be QXC or will it be Xenocider? We'll find out after the break. Don't go anywhere. right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final match of Group D, the final match of the group stages in general. We're going to find out now who will go on to face Kane in the round of 8 and who will sadly be eliminated from this tournament. I am here with the last 2 players of Group D, Xenocider and QXC. Now, QXC, you just got off a pretty lengthy match there with RSVP. How do you feel that went for you?
I think it was fine. There was no point where I really felt like I could lose. It just took a little longer to kill him than I expected.
Fair enough. Now, Xenocider, you've had a break and you've had a chance to watch QXC in combat with RSVP, a player that you knocked down to the loser's bracket, and you are now getting a chance to face him in the TVT. How do you feel about that?
Not sure. I've been playing a bit on the EU server, and it's pretty different than on NA. A lot more Hellbat drops, so I've actually gotten a lot better at dealing with that. I don't know how QXC plays, so I guess we'll see.
QXC, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. We were talking to Dan before the break about the TVT matchup, and it seems like, as Dan was saying, that people go through phases of love and hate with it, and also it seems to be changing on like a day-by-day basis. What do you think of the state of TVT right now?
First of all, I want to tell you that he's lying because I've played him on a Smurf on EU. Yeah, I know.
Nah, man.
But TVT, it's like the more you use Hellbats, probably the more you're going to like this matchup. It just becomes really frustrating when somebody like triple medevac speeds over your army, dropping 6 Hellbats and everything disappears. But I don't know. I still think it's the best mirror matchup. I don't feel like there's a lot of luck involved. There's very few real coin flips in this matchup. The better player generally wins.
Now, Xenocider, I think he just called you out there. He claimed that you have the Smurf on EU and QXC's played you. You don't think that's true?
I've played QXC on EU, but I don't think there was any mech. I think I just like won like 4-0 or something. I can't remember.
That was pretty dismissive. It's like, oh yeah, it's just this random guy. Alright, okay. Well, this is going to be an explosive TVT, I think, between the two of you. I've got to ask, is facing Kane really a reward for getting to the round of 8?
I'm actually not worried about Kane. I think his peak time has passed, and he's been slumping a little bit recently.
Ah, okay.
I was never afraid of Kane. In fact, I don't think I've actually ever dropped a single map against Kane. I think I'm like 9-0 against him on ladder or something. So I actually wanted to win this match and get second place so I can shut up all the hype surrounding Kane, but, you know, whatever.
You know, I almost just asked that question for the sole reason of getting just a little bit of an idea that this is actually WWF going on right now. Yeah, I'm not afraid of Kane. We can take him out. That's absolutely wonderful to hear. Oh, man. We do need more wrestling-themed players in this game, I've got to say. It's got to be done. We got some great handles going on there. But, Xenocider, final words for QXC before you go into this match. We're going to kick it off on Belshire Vestige.
I think if you try to get Hellbats out, then you're gonna get Saunt, buddy.
QXC?
I don't need Hellbats.
Alright, let's see how it goes. Guys, thank you very much to your stations, and we will be watching you guys face off momentarily. Alright, Frodan, some confidence from both of these players going into this, no real question about that. But it is a big toss-up in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, I like what QXC was saying, that the mechanically better player, or not the mechanically, but the better player usually wins, and I do agree with that for the most part. I did kind of lobbied a little bit of frustration for myself in playing TVT, just because, just kind of like what QXC said, it just felt like the more you use Hellbats, the more success you often see, and it's not necessarily just starting off with Hellbats, it's mid-game Hellbats drops with 3 of them, or it's Hellbats in your composition. I want to see what QXC is going to go, because he says he doesn't need Hellbats, but everyone could use a little Hellbats in their life, don't you think, TV?
I definitely agree with this. As someone that Hellbat drops and is proud of it, damn right they need more Hellbats. I mean, right now, Hellbat drops are generally extremely efficient. They're great units. You can mix them in with your composition to give a lot more nice meat and area of effect that you wouldn't necessarily have as a part of a Terran army. I love Hellbats, and I would be interested to see how these guys defend against them, because as much as they're saying, oh yeah, we won't go Hellbats, guys, we really won't go Hellbats, they're secretly in the back of their mind saying, I wonder how many Hellbats I can sneak into his mineral.
Well, only time will tell. It is Belshir Vestige, so a mech is more than possible on this map. Other than that, I think in general tanks are very powerful on Belshir Vestige, just because of the nature of the controlling the watchtower and the shrouds. We'll see though as soon as we get the game started. And I'm really excited because we've been casting Protoss versus Terran all day. Totalbiscuit. I'm ready for some diversity.
Yeah, totally. I'm absolutely ready for that. All right, so we'll be going into this one. Belshir Vestige and a little bit of TBT action. TBT has actually been taking significantly less time lately. That used to be the map where you say, all right, we're in for the long haul, 50-minute games, but not so much anymore because of those early aggressive options. You can do a lot more damage to your opponent in the early game, I feel, than you used to be able to in TBT.
You can go for Hellbat drops. You can, I mean, Banshees are still great. Marine Hellion drops are awesome. Even not necessarily drops, but like a Marine drop with a Hellion run by is good.
Yeah.
Hellion pokes are also great. You can open defensive Viking. I mean, you can almost do anything. And I think, the Widow Mine actually introduces a lot of defensive options that doesn't make it as coin flippy, just like what QXE was saying earlier.
Yeah, I don't think he's wrong there, certainly. And we're seeing a bit of a move away from tanks in this matchup. We're seeing a bit of a move away from tanks, I think, in every matchup, considering the strength of the Widow Mine. But this is a matchup where tanks will definitely benefit you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think tanks are just the core of everything. Tank Hellbat is really great. Thors, you don't really need so much in mech anymore, even though I know Thors were making a pretty big comeback in mech in the end of Wings of Liberty. I want to see how they open. The opening is almost going to decide a lot, though, just because Xenocider, he does like to go for gas tech or gas-heavy tech and to harass and expand. And QXE also likes doing some stuff similar to that, too. Whose aggression is going to work? We'll find out here.
That we will. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, Belshir Vestige. This guy right here just took out RSVP and is looking to reassert his dominance in the North American scene. He is
Complexity QXC
versus his opponent. To the northwest position in the blue trunks, playing Terran, the young hopeful. He is
Xenocider.
Young indeed. He's 15 years old, for anyone who may not know how old he is.
Yep,
that means that was like the last time Pogs was cool, right?
Something along those lines. I have to argue that Pogs were never cool. But
whoa!
Look, all I'm saying is here's my story about Pogs, right? I was the only person at my school to actually buy legit Pogs. Everyone else bought knockoff Pogs. So my Pogs were worth way, way more than their Pogs. And yet they insisted on playing the same rules. I'm not what the hell?
And trading, right?
Oh, yeah. I'll totally trade you a little fake football Pog for my shiny thing. And as a result, I think I hate Pogs because I wanted to like them and my experience was ruined by terrible people.
It's interesting because I couldn't help it, man. My Asian parents didn't want to buy the real thing, so of course they would go to Chinatown and buy the best possible Pogs there, but of course they were so cheap and knockoff. Bad memories, man. I used to get made fun of all the time. It's okay, though, because Xenocider never had to deal with that pain.
No,
instead, he might have to deal with the pain of Hellbats.
That made him a better person, I think, actually. I think the pain of Pogs is significantly worse than the pain of Hellbats. And QXC is already going to break something out here because we saw him go for the gas first. And that was something that could... I mean, this can lead into anything. There's Hellbat drop builds that are based around this. There's Banshee builds. We saw... Banshees deployed extensively in WCS NA Challenger in the match between Hart and Tasia, which Tasia ended up coming out on 2-1. And it seems like these days Banshee can be such a build order loss, way more so than it used to be because you got way more options in the early game. Banshee could just come in and just like kill your entire worker line, like, well, I didn't build the right stuff for that, GG.
Yeah, you open Reaper into like a Hellion drop and you realize, oh, I have no anti-air.
Oh, shit.
Just completely lose everything. Ooh, this is quite convenient from Xenocider, though.
Oh, nice. Yeah, getting in there, and he sees the gas. Maybe he got a chance to click it as well and spot how much was mined, and that would have given the indicator that was a gas first play. And admittedly, I think actually the reactor coming down there might have as well. It would have at least indicated that the gas was fairly early. But we're going to see a command center behind this, so he's not going to ramp up the aggression too much. Just a single Reaper to get some information. And funnily enough, Xenocider is doing kind of the same thing, so this is going to be not as aggressive a game as I'd kind of hoped from the outset.
It doesn't have to be either, but they still can keep their options pretty... QXC almost overextending the Reaper slightly.
Yep.
They still can be a little bit aggressive when the first starport finishes and they can get their medevacs out, but almost, I would say half the time you also see a really quick Viking out of Terran players nowadays because they want to be defensive, maybe even two.
Yep.
Again, alluding to the Tasia versus Heart series.
Yeah, I like the Viking choice. I really, really do. It's not something that you'd usually see in this matchup, but now because of the prevalence of drop play, having Vikings is extremely good. If you're able to hold off those early drops, you may find a Terran player has invested a lot into them, a huge amount, especially if it's the Hellbat drop play. If you shut down a Hellbat drop like that, that is devastating because they have spent so much getting that early armory out, and they've dedicated so much to that strategy that you are, at that point, pretty much ahead 100% of the time.
Now, Belshir Vestige is a map that we said is very good for tanks and as a result mech, but I still think Biotech is very good as well just because of the nature of how far you keep expanding away from your opponent. And I really feel like either style is fine. I haven't actually seen Xenocider play mech before, and I've only seen him play Bio when he played against Major and WCS Challenger. I don't know if he's going to lean towards that, but for now, I would have to assume that he's still going to lean more towards that bio composition. QXC, in the meantime, we can't really tell. He was mind gaming so much in his interview, I couldn't read his intentions.
Well, he's going Hellbat, we can tell you that for a fact. The armor is coming down, and there is no engineering base, so there's no reason to do that. I guess there is one way you could turn it into. You could turn it into Thor's, but that's not going to happen. It's pretty safe to say that even though QXC... I don't know, man. QXC is the kind of guy that used to Thor drop quite a lot. I remember a great game in Wings of Liberty, the Lone Star Clash, where versus Naniwa, he actually went for this one Thor play designed specifically to break a force field on the ramp, and that's all the Thor was for, and it allowed him to win the game. It was crazy cool to watch, but it's most likely going to be Hellbats, I think, here. Yeah, there you go. There's the Hellbats coming in. So Hellbat dropping will be occurring. In the meantime, what is Xenocider actually doing? He's got a few Hellions of his own, and Hellions surprisingly good against Hellbats. I guess a lot of people don't really figure that, but they are. They're really good at dealing with it. Immediately, QXC, however, is forced backwards by a 2 Widowmine and 4 Marine drop. This is actually my favorite drop. I've been doing this on the ladder all the time. It's really good, but it looks like QXC is already on top of that.
Yep. I personally used to do 3 Widowmine drop just because 3 scans would be really annoying, but Terrans have gotten really good at dealing with the medevac. Xenocider are going to try to get into a nice position.
Interestingly enough, he only drops a single Widowmine, which has been microed and will connect, not to a huge amount, but the second Widowmine could very well go down here. The thing is, there's already Hellions in play, so right now, not working out too well. Xenocider does get a lot of scouting information, though. He knows about their Hellbats now.
Well, there's nothing really in the air to contest him. In fact, the medevac can just keep flying around until the Marines catch it.
Yeah. That Widowmine's still there as well. He drops the second one. Admittedly, that does... Oh, there goes the hit. Not a huge amount of damage done with that Widowmine. A scan will now clean that up. Although this one's about to go off again, interestingly enough. Let's see what it connects with. Connects with the mules, doesn't kill them.
Yep. Meanwhile, Xenocider just teching up, just being annoying in the meantime. We can see he's adding engineering bays and barracks, like we were saying. How is QXC going to handle the follow-up? Is his Hellbat drop going to be effective? I don't know. Xenocider already has tanks and Hellions and a Viking in position, so I don't think QXC's aggressive ability to drop. Meanwhile, still a lot of damage from the Widowmines in the main.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. He looks like he's going to get another shot off as well before that actually connects. Let's see if he micros it. Yeah, he takes out another SCV. So overall, 6 workers killed. I think Xenocider maybe hoped for more there, but he did force a reaction, and more importantly, kept QXC back. Like, forced QXC to not do that Hellbat drop that he was planning on doing, because he needed to defend. So that